So now let's continue with our previous topic, that was learning outcome 3, which is bank reconciliation statement. So as you know, in the previous lecture, we study various things about bank reconciliation statement. So like, first of all, what is the meaning of bank reconciliation statement? And why we have to prepare bank reconciliation statement. I mean, what is the purpose behind preparing this bank reconciliation statement? And of course, there are two different reasons in this bank reconciliation statement. I mean, two reasons that lead to the balance differences between bank accounts and the cash account. So in order to find out these balances, we have two ways. I mean, there are two reasons of these differences. One is a time difference, another one is a error. So we discussed about time difference, right? So we discussed about around 5 time differences, right? The problems that lead to creates balance difference between passbook and cashbook, right? Can you please confirm what we have done in the last lecture? And then we will continue. So, last lecture. Please confirm what we have done in the last lecture. Did we finish all the problems? Right? Time difference. Did we finish the problems, right? As I explained you, we're gonna do 3 things in this bank reconciliation statement. 1, 2, and 3. The first thing is find the problem. Find the problems. So problems of time difference, of course. Second thing, solve the problems. And finally, prepare bank reconciliation statement, right? So I think we finished this one, right? We finished. Am I right? This time difference, to find the problems? Yes, okay. So last lecture was problems. All right, problems lead to difference, or lead to create difference. All right, lead to create difference between cash book and passbook. All right, cash book prepared by company, and the passbook is prepared by bank. That was the previous lecture. So now let's move on to today. So today we're going to find out how to solve these problems that we have discussed in the previous lectures. So one by one, problems and solutions. So I will quickly jump to the problems without explaining the problems, because you know what are the problems we have. So I will jump to the problem, and then at the same time, I will explain you that how to solve these problems. All right, this is a solution of these problems. So the first problem was check issued but not presented by bank. So make sure you confirm whatever I'm writing. If you think is different, than something that I explained you in the last lecture. So you please correct me or ask me to explain. All right. So first is check issued but not presented for payments. Not presented for payments. For payment. So what exactly happened here? Same thing, you're writing a check. So means your cash account will be debit. All right. Because, sorry, cash account will be credit, sorry, not debit, credit, because cash account will be reduced because you're making a payments by check. So cash accounts will be debit, right? So obviously your bank accounts will be reduced as well because you're making a payments. So cash book, cash accounts or cash book, and passbook. So the problem is cash book balance reduced. All right. But as I said, time difference, it takes time to transfer money from your accounts to your accounts payable. So that's why we call it time difference. So your passbook, no change. No change. That's why there is a difference. All right. So minus out from your cash book, but no change in your passbook. So that was the problem. Now, what is the solution for this problem? So the problem solution is you will plus your cash book or cash accounts. You add back whatever amounts you minus from your cash book or whatever amounts you credit from your cash book, that amounts you will debit. So means you will debit your cash book by this amount. All right. So it means solution is cash book before minus, right? Now you will plus. And again, passbook, no change. No change. You're not going to make any changes in passbook because this is prepared or controlled by the bank. As a result, your balance now equal. Or for example, if you're $100 minus from your cash book, let me write down with another example here. So let's say your cash book, you already have $100 in your cash book, right? This is your cash book balance. This is your cash book balance, right? And that's your passbook here. So this is your cash book. And for example, you made a payments to supplier $60, all right? So minus 60 from your cash book. As a result, for example, your passbook balance also 100, we assume. But here, no change. No change. So no change means if you minus 60, then your balance become here 40, right? $40 cash book. Now passbook, $100. Balance is unequal. That's the problem here. All right, so the minus here, you can see, and no change. No change. So 100 will be 100, but 100 become 40. So now balance is unequal. So if the balance is equal, so this is the problem. That's the meaning of problem here. Now, what is the solution? Solution is you will add $60 back to your accounts. So 40 plus 60, 100. All right, 100. As a result, so this amount become 100, which is equals to 100. Right. So now balance equal. So this is the solution. That's the meaning of solution, problem solution for your first time difference. All right. So from here until here, this is the problem. This is the problem, right? And from here until here, this is the solution, right? So this is the way to make balance equal. So obviously, you are preparing a cash book prepared by you. So you can make changes in this cash book. Obviously, you cannot make changes in your passbook because that's controlled or prepared by the bank. So that is your check issued but not presented for payment solution. Is that okay? Is that fine? Any question or move on? So let's move on to the second problem. So now, what is second problem? Second problem, second time difference is check received but not collected by bank. For example, you receive a check from your accounts receivable, and then you deposit this check in your bank accounts. And as you know that time difference means money will not transfer instantly in your bank accounts. If you're depositing money through the check, it takes time to transfer money. It could be like 1 day to 3 days. So if it's taking time 1 day to 3 days, obviously balance between cash book and passbook will be different. So the problem is we have cash book and we have a passbook. So for example, in your cash book, you already have $100 balance. All right, so here also $100 balance. All right, so now check received. Check received, so cash account will be debit and account receivable credit. So for example, you receive a check of, let's say, $60, no, $50, all right? So now you plus your cash accounts, so cash account debit, all right? But as bank is not receiving at the same time, here will be no change. So as a result, your balance will be unequal. So here, okay. So you receive a check. So as I mentioned that your cash book or cash accounts will be debit. So your cash accounts balance will be increased. So it will be now $150. But again, there is no any change because bank is not receiving the amounts on the same day. So obviously on that date, your balance will be 100. So as a result, balance will be unequal. This is the problem. This is the problem we have. All right. So now, what is the solution of this problem? So problem solution is we will credit cash accounts, not bank accounts, obviously. We will credit our cash account by $50 to make it equal with 100. So credit cash account means you will reduce your cash account by $50 because the difference is $50. So you will minus $50 here. All right. So obviously here, no change. You cannot make any change here. So finally, your balance is equal $100 and $100. So this is the solution here. That is the solution. What solution here? This is the solution. This is the solution to make balance equal of your cash book and the passbook. So that is your second time difference. So is that okay? Is that fine? Any question or we move on? Tell me any question. Okay, let's move on. Now let's move on to the third time difference. So third time difference is amount directly debit made by bank or direct debit made by bank. Direct debit right? So cash book, passbook, taking the same example, let's say your balance is $100. Here also $100. So event was direct debit made by bank. So direct debit made by bank means your bank accounts will increase or decrease. Can you tell me? If I say my bank account is debit, it means my bank accounts increase or decrease. Tell me. Bank account will decrease because bank account is debit. So for example, amount is $20. So minus $20. Your bank accounts will be debit. So bank account will be reduced. So this is the direct things has been happened. So you don't know. So you don't know. Do not know, or you can call it no change here. No change here. So now balance of your cash book is 100, and balance of passbook is 80. As a result, balance is different. So this is the problem. we have here. Right. So now what will be the solution of this problem? So the problem solution will be, we also need to credit our cash book. Since bank made changes, so now what solution we have to make balance equal to the bank is make changes in your cash book. So what changes we're going to do in your cash book? We will credit our cash book. All right. So credit cash book means we will reduce $20 here. And obviously here, no change. No change. This is the solution we have. This is the solution we have. So as a result, the balance between cash book, which is 80, now equal to the balance of your passbook, that is 80. So now your balance is equal. This is your number 3, which is direct debit made by bank. Is that okay, number 3? Okay, so let's move on to number 4. So can you please tell me what is your number 4 difference? What is number 4? Tell me. What is the problem? I mean, not problem. What is the reason? Tell me number 4. What is number 4? No, I'm not asking the solution, I mean, the problem. I'm asking the situation. What is the situation? Can you please write down the full sentence? You're telling me debit, cash book, and passbook. What does it mean? So can you please write down the full situation? What is the situation? What is the event? Amount directly credited in bank accounts. Okay. Okay. So we have a cash book and a passbook. So let's say our cash book balance is $100. That's what we have here in the beginning of the period. So now amount directly credited in bank account. So let's say $30. $30 credited in your bank accounts means your bank accounts increased. Your bank balance increased. So obviously, if it's the directly things happen, so your cash book is unaffected. So no change in your cash book here. So as a result, your balance is unequal. So here is 100, which is unequal to 130. So this is the problem we have. This is the problem we faced because of this action. Now let's continue. So now what is the solution of this problem? So obviously the problem solution is you have to debit your cash book by $30. So means you will plus $30 here, right? So obviously nothing will be changed here, unaffected. So as a result, this is the solution. So as a result, your balance is now 130, right? Which is equal to 130. So this is the problem solution. So number 4 is finished. Any question? Number 4? So let's move on to number 5. What is number 5? What is the situation? Number 5. Can you please explain to me? What is number 5? Check. Dishonor. Check dishonored or check bounced. Bounced back or bounced. Bounced back. All right, so now what will be happen here? So cash book and passbook. So check received is dishonored. Check received is dishonored. Check we receive it. So let's say balance is $100. So $100 in the beginning of the year. Now you receive a check. If you receive a check, so your cash accounts will be debited. All right, so your cash account will be increased. So let's say it's increased by $25. So you receive a check of $25. So since this check is no check, or you can call it no change. So check dishonored. So check dishonored. Check dishonored means obviously no payments credited in your no any amounts is credited in your passbook. So as a result, your balance will be unequal. balances unequal, so which is here 125, right, which is unequal to $100, right? This is the problem. So now what is the solution of this problem? Because since the check is dishonored, so you also need to credit your bank accounts. In fact, when your check check is dishonored, bank gonna minus some money from here. In fact, so let's assume, because remember last time when I explained to you that when any kinds of check is dishonored, so bank gonna charge some money from you for the services that bank has provided to you. This is called the bank charges, all right? So when the check is dishonored, so we can say that $10 are service charges. Service charges. So it means your passbook will be reduced by $10. So as a result, your balance is 90. Now, what do you have to do? You also reduce $25, which is the value of the check, plus $10. So it's gonna be like your cash book will be credited by $35. So obviously here, no change. So this is the solution of the problem. So now your balance is $90 here, which is equals to the $90 here. So this is the solution. So this is your bank reconciliation statement time differences. So because of these reasons, we have a time difference between cash book and passbook. All right. So now all the problem solution is finished. Any question, or we move on? So no question. So let's move on to next. So now next is prepare bank reconciliation statement. So now I will show you the format of bank reconciliation statement, how bank reconciliation statement will look like, all right, how we prepare bank reconciliation statement. But before we prepare bank reconciliation statement, every time we need to know the balance of your either cash book or passbook. Like as for example, if you see in every situation 1 to situation 5, every time I will write down, I'm writing here balance, like balance of cash book, balance of cash book, balance of cash book in every question, because we prepare cash book, cash account. So we need to know what is the balance of cash accounts. Sometimes cash account balance is 0. So cash account balance means cash account at the end of the period. So at the end of the period, always cash book and passbook balance is equal, right? Because at the end of the period, at the end of the year or at the end of the month, whatever is the period to prepare the bank reconciliation statement. So at the end of the period, so obviously we came to know what is my actual passbook, balance. So by looking at my passbook balance, I will start making changes in my cash book. So eventually my balance will be equal at the end of the period. So this process called preparing bank reconciliation statement. So now these situations are next period. So means next beginning of period when you start preparing your bank reconciliation statement. So every time when you start preparing your bank reconciliation statement, you need to know the balance of your cash book or passbook. All right. So this balance will be given in your question. So every time when you start preparing your your bank reconciliation statement, always start with the balance. So balance as per cash book, depends upon question, whatever is the amount, or balance as per passbook. All right. So by following these balances, we prepare bank reconciliation statement. All right. So now, before I explaining you bank reconciliation statement, we need to understand the nature of balance, right? Like for example, sometimes your question says your cash book balance is credited by 9,000, or your cash book has a credit balance which is 9,000. So we need to understand what does it mean. Or sometimes your question says your passbook balance is 2,000 debit. So passbook has a debit balance by 2,000. Now, what does it mean? So your cash book balance could be debit balance, could be credit balance at the end of the period. Same, your passbook balance could be debit or credit at the end of the period. Actually, you know this debit balance or credit balance because you already study your T accounts. Because when we are preparing our T accounts, which is cash accounts, and after preparing T accounts, we check the debit side and the credit side, and we see if debit side is more than credit side, so cash book has a debit balance. If credit side is more than debit side, then cash book has a credit balance, right? So this thing I will revise again to remind you what actually meaning of cash book has a debit balance and cash book has a credit balance. But you're supposed to know that because we already finished this T accounts in your learning outcome 1, right? So now let's move on to your balances. So now next is find the balance of your cash accounts or cash book or passbook. All right. Okay. Now, let me give you one example. So we recall learning outcome 1. Right. So when we were studying learning outcome 1, so obviously we were studying T accounts. So that's your T accounts. So this is your cash book or cash account, right? So some amounts are debit side and some amounts are credit side. So for example, your debit side, you have $1,000, right? And the credit side, you have a $800. So now, what is the balance of this cash account? What is the closing balance of this cash account? What is the closing balance of this cash account? Quickly tell me. What is the closing balance? Quickly, you already done it. Your assignment 1. I mean, when you prepare your cash account, for example, your cash account is debit by 1,000 something, right? Let's say you borrow money from bank. So cash account debit, bank loan credit. So cash account debit because of bank loan, $1,000, right? And you have another journal entry. For example, you make a payments to supplier. So accounts payable debit and cash account credit, which is $800. So that's your $800, right? Now, can you finish this cash account, the account? So can you complete? So means what is your balance? How much cash account closing balance? How much money left at the end of the period you have? That's what I mean. I mean, can you complete these T accounts? 200 debit, right? 200 debit side. Now, what is the meaning of this 200 debit? How do you explain or interpret this $200? What do you mean by this $200 debit in simple words? What does it mean? $200 debit in simple language. If someone will ask you what this 200 debit means, how you will explain? Tell me how you will explain. That's not good. Nobody knows the meaning of this 200. So listen me carefully, what this 200 debit means. This 200 debit means we have $200 at the end of the period. So we have this $200 means we have $200 at the end of the period, right? So means we have this money. So your cash account balance is positive. You have $200 in your cash. You have $200 cash at the end of the period. So it means cash has a debit. Debit means increase. You have plus. Credit means minus, right? So if I say, for example, I make another cash account. So for example, your debit side is $200. Your credit side is, let's say, $500, right? So now what does it mean? You have a $300 credit balance, right? Now what does it mean? So here is debit and credit. Now what does it mean? Cash account credit. Cash account has a credit balance. Here cash account has a debit balance, cash account has a credit balance. So which means our cash account has a negative balance. negative balance by $300. Or in other words, you can say that these 300 are bank overdraft liability. So means your cash account has a minus 300. So means you have to return this $300 back. All right. So you have a cash account negative balance. This is your cash account is a positive balance. Here your cash account is a negative balance. So it means you need to return this money. Because cash account you 300 you have to pay to someone. Maybe you borrow from someone. That's why cash account is it's credit. All right. So this is your liability to return that money back. That's the very simple meaning. So cash account debit means plus. Cash account credit means minus. All right. So I repeat. Cash account debit means your cash account is plus, and here your cash account is minus, negative. So as I said, minus, negative. All right. So did you understand that? The meaning of this closing balance of your cash account, which is debit or credit. Did you understand that? Yes or no, or any question? Make sure you understand these things, because when you have a question, don't be confused in your question whether you will write in a plus column or you will write in a minus column, because when you prepare your bank reconciliation, so you need to know the whether your cash book balance is a plus or minus, because when you prepare your bank reconciliation statement that I will explain you next, your bank reconciliation statement has two columns. All right, like I remember when you used to prepare your trial balance, you used to have two columns, one debit and one credit. Same in your bank reconciliation statement, you're going to have two columns as well. One column for plus, of course, not debit, not credit. Why not debit, credit? Because cash book debit means passbook credit, or passbook credit, passbook debit means cash book credit. So we're not going to write down debit or credit, because since it's quite complicated, maybe students sometimes get confused. So instead of writing debit or credit, we're going to write plus and minus. All right. So as when you see the problem, when we discuss about the problem of your time difference, we look what is the problem and what is the solution. So solution is sometimes you have to plus your cash accounts and sometimes you have to minus your cash account. All right. So that's why you need to know what does it mean cash book has a debit balance, cash book has a credit balance. So I repeat here again. So if cash book has a debit balance, cash book has a debit balance, it means plus, you have a cash. If cash book has a credit balance, so credit balance means it's a bank overdraft, it's a negative balance. So you write down the amount in your minus column. Same thing if question says passbook has a debit balance. Passbook has a debit balance. So you know that passbook means bank. Bank debit means cash credit, or cash debit means bank credit, right? So passbook debit means we have a negative. And if question says passbook has a credit balance, so means in your bank account, you have this much money. All right. So your question start with every time, start with one balance, maybe this or this or this or this, not all. All right. Your question has always either cash book debit, either cash book debit, cash book credit, passbook debit, passbook credit. All right, so that is your information in relation of your balances. All right, so everybody understand? Any question? Is it clear? Say something? Yes, okay. So now we can have a break, and after break, we will discuss the format of your bank reconciliation statement, and then I will give example that how we prepare bank reconciliation statement. All right. So we can have a break, and then I'll see you soon. Thank you. So now we discuss the format of bank reconciliation statement. So how formats means how bank reconciliation statement looks like, or how to prepare bank reconciliation statement. So now format. So always remember we have to write down the title of bank reconciliation statement. So title, bank reconciliation statement of, this is the name of the company, and here is the date. So here is the date. So date, for example, 31st December, maybe 2020. For example, this is the date. So make sure you check your question. What date is given in your question? Following that date, you will write down this bank reconciliation statement, name of company, and the date, which is 31st December 2020. Now, so here is the number of transaction number, or sometime date, transaction 1, 2, 3, 4, or the dates. So like for example, 2nd of January, check issued but not present. So you write down the date 2nd of January, or situation 1, situation 2, situation 3, right? And here is the particulars. Particular means the reason for time difference or the situation, right? And here is plus column, and here is the minus column. So this is your bank reconciliation statement. Now, for example, always start with the balance. So balance as per cash book or passbook. Depends upon your question, all right? So again, your cash book balance could be debit or could be credit. If cash book balance is debit, you write down here. If cash book balance is credit, you write down here. Of course, either one column can't be both, right? So maybe here or maybe here, obviously. Maybe debit balance or maybe credit balance. It cannot be both. Or if question doesn't say anything about the balance, that's fine. Then we don't need to write down the balance as per cash book, right? Or passbook. And then here, you're gonna write down the transactions. So for example, transaction number 1, check. So for example, check issued, but not presented for payment, but not paid. So check issued, but not paid. And now you go back and you check, what is the solution of this check issued, but not paid? Can you tell me? We have to plus or we have to minus? So remember, we have to write down the solution in your bank reconciliation statement, not the problem. All right, so you have to write down the solution. That's why we prepare a bank reconciliation statement to solve the problem. So can you tell me, check issued but not presented for payment or not paid? So can you tell me plus or minus? Plus. Check issued but not presented. So you will write down in plus column. All right, that's right. Second transaction, for example, directly debit made by bank. Made by bank. So directly debit made by bank. So tell me, plus or minus? Directly debit made by bank. What is the solution, plus or minus? Minus, right? So you write down in minus column, right? So let's say dividend received by bank. Third one, let me write down the amount so we can easily understand. So for example, balance as per cash book is 5,000. And check issued but not paid, it will be plus, let's say $2,000. Directly debit made by bank, for example, $1,000. Right. Now, dividend received by bank, for example, $500. So can you tell me which column we should write down? Plus or minus? In which column we need to write down? Plus column, minus column, plus column, right? Because amount directly comes in the bank. So received by bank means obviously directly comes in bank. If directly comes in bank, so we have to plus our cash book as well. All right, so for example, $500. All right. Next is, for example, check bounced. Check bound. So check bounce means, for example, $100 plus or minus $100. All right, that's all. Now we're going to check the balance of this bank reconciliation statement. So whatever is the balance, that's the exactly balance we have in our bank account. All right, that's the meaning of this one. So 5 plus 2, 7,000, 7,500. So I will write down here. I will write down here 7,500. And here also 7,500. So how much is the difference? So 7,500 minus 1,100 is 6,400. That's your balance. We call it balancing figure. Balancing figure means on the behalf of the balance, we calculate this number. So now what does it mean? This 6,400. So that's the meaning of balance as per passbook. Balance as per passbook. So in your passbook, you have 6,400. Now, what does it mean? So always remember, plus means debit. So, right? See, balance as per passbook means debit, and here is credit. So now, balance as per passbook, 6,400 credit. So means your bank balance is credited by this number. So it means in your bank, you have this amount, not 7,500 or not 5,000. According to your cash, this is the balance, but according to your passbook, this is the balance. So means in your passbook right now, you can understand how much is the balance available in your passbook, which is 6,400. Always remember, this is, in this question, this is your answer. This number is your answer, not 7,500. So this is your answer. So if your question start with balance as per cash book, this question start with cash book, right? So it means the answer is balance as per passbook. If the question start balance as per passbook, then answer will be balance as per cash book. So always remember, so this is 6,400 is your answer, not 7,500. So how we got 6,500? So we will see which side is higher. So obviously this side is higher. This side is higher. So balancing figure is 6,400. So means your cash accounts, you can call it your cash account has a debit balance because debit side is higher, or in other words, you can call it your passbook has a credit balance. So it means in your bank account, so you have a $6,400. That is the reason to prepare this bank reconciliation statement. This is your answer. That's how your bank reconciliation statement looks alike. Is that okay? Is that fine? Did you understand how your bank reconciliation statement looks like? Then we stop here. So in next lecture, I will give you some questions to practice. So you practice some questions. Once you practice 2 or 3 different questions, then we will start with your assignment. So whatever 6 or 7 situations are given in your assignments, that we will practice all these situations. All right. And in the next lecture, I will also explain you a very small thing before we start preparing bank reconciliation statement. We have two methods to prepare bank reconciliation statement. One is cash adjustments, make adjustments in your cash accounts, like what we actually doing, or another one is without making adjustment in your cash accounts. That's very simple, right? But of course we will focus on adjustment in your cash book, which is this. This is called the adjustment in your cash book. What we are doing, we make changes in our cash book. Why? Because we are balanced as per cash book. So it means we make changes in the cash book. All right. So we have two methods, with cash book, which is this, and without cash book, which is a little bit different. But we focus on with cash book, which is this. So anyway, these things I will explain you again in your next lecture. All right. So that's all about your bank reconciliation statement. So all the information related to bank reconciliation statement is finished. So now we stop here. So next lecture, we will start with some practice question. All right.